SAP Cloud Connector is the component or solution developed by SAP to connect your on-premise SAP systems with SAP's cloud services, especially SAP Analytics Cloud and Business Technology Platform. If you want to know what Cloud Connector is exactly, how it works, and what the architecture looks like, this video is for you. So let's look at the architecture of Cloud Connector. As already stated, Cloud Connector is a reverse invoke proxy, we will come to that term later, that is used to connect your SAP backend systems, for example, SAP S4HANA, BW4HANA, S4HANA Master Data Governance, or also other systems like process orchestration with SAP's cloud services, especially the ones inside of SAP Business Technology Platform. A few examples you can see here, or in the SAP Analytics Cloud. Also, of course, just to mention here, private cloud environments are also supported by SAP Cloud Connector. So the way it works is that there is a secure tunnel connection being established and, kept throughout the entire time between SAP Cloud Connector and the sub-account or tenant on the SAP Cloud. So when you're a customer using SAP services, those services will be assigned to a global account, and that global account has the ability to have multiple sub-accounts and tenants, and you are connecting Cloud Connector to that particular sub-account or tenant that is using or providing that particular service, for example, for a particular sub-company or a particular region. So I've just told you that SAP Cloud Connector is acting as a reverse invoke proxy. And to clarify that, I want to explain what it means. So first we have to go over what is a proxy. The word proxy stands for representative. It acts as a proxy for someone. And most people are familiar with the so-called forward proxy concept. So for example, when you're working inside your corporation, probably in your web browser, for example, Google Chrome or Firefox, there is a proxy maintained in that browser settings. And that proxy that is maintained in those settings is what is called a forward proxy. A forward proxy is acting representative to a client. So the client in this picture is your web browser on your machine, and you want to visit google.com. Instead of routing your request directly to google.com, what happens is your web browser forwards your request to the forward proxy, and that forward proxy sends that request to google.com's web server representative of you. And Google's web server will answer that request, but they will answer to the forward proxy. So the forward proxy will take the answer of the server representative for you and then send this answer back to you. And once you receive that answer from the forward proxy, your web browser can render the web page. Now, let's go one step further and clarify what is a reverse proxy. A reverse proxy does not act as a proxy for the client, but as a proxy for the server. So in this example, you want to visit Amazon.de from your corporate network. And, you are resolving Amazon.de to a particular public IP address, and that IP address does not directly point to Amazon.de's web server. Instead, it points to a reverse proxy. That reverse proxy is operated by Amazon, and it will take your request representative of the Amazon.de web server. Once it has received your request, it will forward it to the Amazon.de web server. Now, Amazon.de will answer that request, but it will not answer directly to you. It will first answer the reverse proxy, and then the reverse proxy will forward the answer to you, representative of the Amazon.de web server. Now, as a final chapter, let's take the word invoke to it. So what is a reverse invoke proxy? The word invoke specifies which component is establishing the connection initially. So which component or which side of the connection is building the connection. With reverse invoke, the connection is not initiated by the client, but by the server side. So just to compare, the traditional forward invoke mechanism would work that the client is establishing the connection to the server. Now, in this example, I have already pre-filled the roles in the context of SAP Cloud Services. So in this context, the SAP Cloud Service, for example, SAP Analytics Cloud, wants to communicate with your backend system, for example, an on-premise S/4HANA system. So in this context, the SAP Cloud Service is the client and your backend system is on the server side. Now, what happens is in a reverse invoke that the connection is not established on the client side, so on SAP's side. Instead, it is invoked on the server side, so from your corporate network. To be more precise, the connection is invoked by SAP Cloud Connector, who acts as a reverse invoke proxy. So SAP Cloud Connector is invoking the connection representative of your backend system. So SAP Cloud Connector will connect to the particular sub-account or tenant in the SAP Cloud. To do that, as an administrator, you need to log into SAP Cloud Connector, and from there you need to configure a connection to the SAP Cloud sub-account or tenant. You will need to enter the credentials of that sub-account or tenant, and then a tunnel will be established. And that tunnel is illustrated in orange here. So once that tunnel is built, now both directions can be established continuously as long as that tunnel is up. So for example, once that tunnel is built, the SAP Cloud can act as a client. For example, if SAP Analytics Cloud wants to refresh its data from your BW4HANA system, then the SAP Analytics Cloud will create a request to your Cloud Connector, and then Cloud Connector will forward that request to the backend system, for example, to SAP BW4HANA. But also the other direction is possible. For example, if your SAP S/4HANA system wants to generate a PDF file using the Adobe Forms service hosted in SAP Business Technology Platform, the S/4HANA system will create a request and send it to Cloud Connector, and then Cloud Connector will forward that request to the SAP Cloud. So what really the reverse invoke part is SAP Cloud Connector initially invoking the connection towards the SAP Cloud. And once that secure tunnel is built and established, both directions are possible between these three components. So why is this architecture in place? The most impact of this architecture comes towards configuration of the firewall. If we would use forward invoke, then that means SAP Cloud Services are invoking the connection, and that would mean that SAP needs to maintain firewall rules for all SAP Cloud Connectors of every customer. With reverse invoke, SAP just needs to configure that they are accepting incoming invoke requests from the public internet. And now the burden of configuring is on the customer side. You as a customer, you need to configure that you want to allow outgoing requests from SAP Cloud Connector to SAP's cloud service. Now, there are also other reasons why, SAP went with reverse invoke proxy, but this is one of the most important ones because not only can a lot of SAP customers have multiple SAP Cloud Connectors set up in the demilitarized zones as a permanent component, also a lot of developers that want to, develop solutions on the business technology platform, they will have a local SAP Cloud Connector installed on their laptop, for example, where they are developing, and also their Cloud Connector will connect, to the SAP Cloud Services. So this was a very important step for SAP to enable, massive connections from multiple different client networks towards the cloud services. So that's it for today. That was a short introduction to how SAP Cloud Connector is used, how it works, and what the architecture looks like. In the next video of this series, I will, tell you how to install Cloud Connector, how to configure it, how to start and stop it, etc. If you do not want to miss that, please subscribe to this YouTube channel. Hopefully, I will see you in the next video. Until then, have a very good day and a lot of success in your SAP learning journey. Have a good one. Bye-bye, folks.